Malaysia tells Myanmar to stop the killing and violence against civilians. Malaysia on right track in managing its economy. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cynthia Arthur. You're watching News at 10. Southeast Asian leaders began a crisis meeting on Myanmar today, aiming to persuade Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, who led the military takeover that sparked turmoil in his country, to forge a path to end the violence. The gathering of leaders of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, in Jakarta is the first coordinated international effort to ease the crisis in Myanmar, an impoverished country that neighbors China, India and Thailand. Myanmar is part of the 10-nation ASEAN. Diplomats and government officials who asked not to be named said many ASEAN leaders want a commitment from Min Aung Hlaing to restrain his security forces, who monitors say have killed 745 people since a mass civil disobedience movement emerged to challenge his first February coup against the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. ASEAN has a policy of consensus decision-making and non-interference in the affairs of its members, which includes Myanmar. While that makes it difficult to tackle contentious issues, the body is seen by the United Nations, China and the United States as best placed to deal with the junta directly. But not everyone agreed with the meeting. About 24 protesters gathered nearby, beating pots and pans and holding signs saying "Democracy for Myanmar" and "We stand against the military coup." Police quickly moved them on. In addressing the Myanmar crisis, the country needs to de-escalate the situation on the ground and stop the killing and violence against civilians. This is one of the 3 proposals put forward by Malaysia to Myanmar at the special ASEAN leaders meeting at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta today. According to Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin during intervention at the meeting, which was attended by ASEAN leaders and Myanmar junta chief Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, it is also imperative for the junta to release political detainees promptly and unconditionally. Thirdly, he said, Myanmar needs to allow the ASEAN Chair and ASEAN Secretary General to have access into Myanmar, including to all the parties concerned. Tan Sri Muhyiddin pointed out that the success of ASEAN's efforts on Myanmar very much depends on the willingness of the Tatmadaw to cooperate. Malaysia, he said, stands ready to engage constructively with all parties and galvanize efforts with all ASEAN member states towards helping Myanmar to overcome the current political crisis. In drawing attention to the ASEAN principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of other ASEAN member states, the Premier said it did not mean the grouping should ignore a serious situation that jeopardizes the peace, security and stability of the region. Tan Sri Muhyiddin said this is because there is a tremendous expectation on the part of the international community in how ASEAN is addressing the Myanmar issue. Meanwhile, at a press conference after the meeting, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said Senior General Min Aung Hlaing accepted all 3 proposals put forward by Malaysia in tackling the crisis. Apart from the 3 proposals by Malaysia, the Prime Minister said Myanmar also agreed to proposals by other ASEAN countries, including humanitarian assistance and national reconciliation efforts in settling the crisis.
Pengurusi memberikan peluang kepada Jeneral ni untuk beri respon dan eloknya dia tidak menolak apa yang telah pun dikemukakan oleh saya dan juga ramai rakan-rakan lain tentang perkara yang disebutkan tadi. Malahan dia kata dia bersetuju untuk menerima wakil ataupun envoy daripada ASEAN untuk datang ke sana di waktu yang sesuai. An appropriate time, suitable time kata dia. Jadi dia tak tolak, tak halang. Jadi ini memberikan satu peluang untuk ASEAN memainkan peranan utama dalam mencairkan penyelesaian pada krisis yang sedang melanda di Myanmar ini.
After attending the meeting in Jakarta, Tan Sri Muhyiddin then left for home. The Premier, who arrived at 8 a.m. today, took off from the Jakarta Soekarno-Hatta International Airport at 7:10 p.m. Western Indonesia time. The special meeting held at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta adhered to strict COVID-19 health and security protocols set by the Indonesian government. Malaysia's sustainability Sukuk issuance, which was oversubscribed by 6.4 times recently, proved that the country is on the right track in managing its economy towards a more sustainable and stable growth. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin in a statement said this reflects the confidence of investors in the country and market on the recovery and Malaysia's economic growth prospects despite facing the COVID-19 pandemic. Last Thursday, the government successfully priced the world's first sovereign US dollar sustainability sukuk via the issuance of $800 million 10-year trust certificates and $500 million 30-year trust certificates for comprehensive distribution stretching from Asia to the United States. Through the oversubscription of 6.4 times, the original issuance size was increased from $1 billion to $1.3 billion. Based on encouraging demand, the government had also successfully fixed a competitive price for the sustainability sukuk. Tan Sri Muhyiddin said he was confident this would further enhance Malaysia's position as a leader in the global Islamic finance sector. The Premier added that the sustainability sukuk will lay a foundation that is more sustainable, stable, resilient and competitive in line with the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. The government has introduced new standard operating procedures (SOP) for travellers arriving from countries with reported SARS-CoV-2 variants of concern (VOC). Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said this SOP is a precautionary measure to avoid further spread of the VOC, as some of the variants have already been detected in Malaysia, such as variant B1351 or the South African variant. In a release statement, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the travellers will need to take a swab test 3 days before their trip to Malaysia and undergo quarantine at designated centres, with a 10-day quarantine period to be extended to 14 days. They must also download and use the MySejahtera application once they arrive and must undergo another swab test on the 10th day of quarantine. According to the Senior Minister, the 3 variants reported under the VOC, according to World Health Organization WHO, were B1351 from South Africa, B117 from United Kingdom and B1128 or P1 from Brazil and Japan. He explained that the concern over the VOC variants was because the infection was found to be rapid and can lead to severe symptoms that require immediate admission into intensive care units. A total of 495,750 individuals have received both doses of their COVID-19 vaccine under the National COVID-19 Immunization Program as of yesterday. Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Adam Baba said during the same period, 783,987 individuals received their first dose, bringing the total number of COVID-19 shots administered in the country to over 1.27 million. In an infographic shared on his Twitter account today, Datuk Sri Dr. Adam said the 3 states with the highest number of recipients administered with the first dose were Selangor at 103,613, followed by Kuala Lumpur 87,603 and Sarawak 74,154. Selangor also recorded the highest number of recipients who had completed both doses at 70,468, followed by Perak and Sarawak with 49,958 and 48,444 recipients respectively. The minister said as of yesterday, more than 9.22 million individuals or 38% had registered for vaccination, with Selangor having the highest number at 2.4 million registrations. Malaysia has already entered Phase 2 of the National Immunization Program involving high-risk groups, including senior citizens and persons with disabilities. The Congress of Unions of Employees in the Public and Civil Services, QPAX, has urged various quarters, including the public and non-government organizations NGO, against using the compounding of a mosque in Pekan Pahang as an issue to disseminate inaccurate information. Its president, Adnan Mat Said, said QPAX had received complaints from its members on the issue, which resulted in a civil servant who issued the compound into becoming a victim of cyberbullying or criticism. In a statement today, Adnan said the decision to issue the compound was made with the involvement of various government department heads, including the district Qadi, following the positive COVID-19 cases involving the members of the congregation at the mosque. The authorities found it difficult to conduct contact tracing because many mosque committee members and its congregation did not record their attendance or use the MySejahtera application. Rightly, Adnan said, the offence can be imposed individually and would have involved many members of the mosque's congregation, but only one compound was issued, namely to the mosque committee, as a lesson to other mosques and not to prosecute. Adnan also urged the Ministry of Health, Pahang Health Department or the Pekan COVID-19 Task Force chairman to provide a proper explanation to clear the officer's name. The government's decision to expand the labour recalibration program to include illegal immigrants in restaurants, cargo, wholesale, retail and cleaning services subsectors would help resuscitate the national economy faster. Malaysian Employers Federation MEF President Dr. Syed Hussein Syed Husman in a statement said the extension would ensure that businesses would be able to revive their operations faster. Dr. Syed Hussein said, though COVID-19 had compelled employers towards increased process automation, mechanization and digitalization, the availability of foreign workers is still critical to enable businesses to operate in full force. Commenting on the recent decision by the Joint Committee on the Management of Foreign Workers to extend the labour recalibration program, Dr. Syed Hussein said it was currently good news for employers as it would prevent businesses from continuing to suffer huge losses due to labour shortage. The Health Ministry recorded 2,717 new COVID-19 infections today, with Selangor contributing the highest number of cases at 768. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said this is a slight drop from yesterday's 2,847 cases, and the cumulative number of infections detected in the country is up to 390,252. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham in his daily update said 26 of the new infections were imported, involving 2 Malaysians and 24 foreigners, while 2,691 cases were local transmissions, comprising 2,493 Malaysians and 198 non-citizens. He said the number of active cases now stands at 22,926, with 272 patients currently being treated in the ICU and 124 requiring ventilator support. He also disclosed 11 more fatalities in the last 24 hours, taking the death toll to 1,426. The victims, aged between 36 and 80, were detected in Selangor, Sarawak, Sabah and Kuala Lumpur. Meanwhile, the total number of recoveries reached 365,900 after another 2,292 patients fully recovered from the disease. The Health Ministry also identified 10 new clusters while declaring the end of 12 others, bringing the number of active clusters to 352. Coming up, Mybully.com.my portal launched to unite Muslim entrepreneurs. Explaining further, Dato' Nazim said Mybully.com.my was his... The Malaysian Muslim Consumers Association, PPIM, has launched a special portal, Mybully.com.my, to unite all Muslim entrepreneurs in the country under one platform while promoting their products and services. Its lead activist, Dato' Nazim Johan, said the portal is Sharia compliant and highlights high-quality local products. Explaining further, Dato' Nazim said Mybully.com.my was established as a result of the cooperation between PPIM and several strategic partners, including Fusionex and Zakat Pay Traders Support Community Organisation. He said the portal has also received recognition and support from the Social Security Organisation.
Ini kita sendiri punya. Ini kita punya dapat patuh syariah dan dengan bantuan dan sokongan perkesok. Kita dia ada buat multi prong. Contohnya dalam proses ini juga kita harapkan masa kita tengok keadaan cukup kadang-kadang kita tengok yang menghadapi masalah. Yang peniaga-peniaga ini mereka kecil kadang-kadang baru nak berniaga kadang-kadang kemalangan macam mana. Jadi kita bekerjasama dengan perkesok sekali. Mari tolong kita ambil di masa yang sama berniaga, ada platform dan kita terus sebelah kiri ini terus masih ambil juga jadi ahli perkesok yang berniaga sendiri.
He added that those who wish to join the platform will not have to pay any registration fee, and all Muslim entrepreneurs should take this opportunity and use the portal to boost their businesses and economy. Consumer communities in the state are getting worried as the prices of cooking oil in 5-kilogram bottles has surged since January. Consumers Association of Kedah Secretary Muhammad Yusrizal Yusof said in a survey conducted, it was found that the 5-kilogram bottles are being sold at convenience stores, mini markets and supermarkets between 28 ringgit and 34 ringgit as compared to 25 ringgit and 27 ringgit last year. Speaking to reporters after conducting a survey at Lorong Kilang Ais in Alor Setar today, Muhammad Yusrizal also said that the price of cooking oil will continue to increase as Hari Raya Aidilfitri is nearing. Although consumers are feeling the burden, he said they still buy them in large quantities as they are needed during this festive season.
Jadi kita minta supaya ditambahkan lagi lah untuk kawalan ni. Kalau boleh ni minyak masak pun letak jugalah di bawah sikit kawalan harga kan. Kita nampak naik terlalu mendadak.
In addition, he said, other items that should be included under the festive season maximum price control scheme for Hari Raya Puasa are items such as coconut milk, kerese and vegetables. Earlier, the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry, KPDN-HEP, identified 12 types of goods under the festive season price control scheme, namely live chickens, standard chickens, super chickens, local beef, imported beef, grade A, B and C chicken eggs, mackerel, ikan selayang and ikan tongkol. 2 out of 3 men on squid jigging trip in the waters of Kuala Besar in Kota Baru, Kelantan, whom were feared to have drowned when the fiberglass boat they were in sank, were found in a safe condition. Kelantan Police Chief Dato' Shafian Mamat said the 2 were identified as Mat Awang alias Jali, 54, and Mat Harun Muhammad Nur, 55. Dato' Shafian said the 2 men were found hanging onto a fish tank around 3 p.m. today. Both of them were immediately sent to University Science Malaysia Hospital in Kubang Kerian for medical attention. A search and rescue SAR operation involving 64 personnel from various agencies was immediately activated upon receiving information about the incident that took place at 8:30 p.m. The operation was also assisted by several fishermen from nearby areas.
Itulah tadi saya bertanya juga untuk mendapat pengesahan. Katanya safety tu dia bawa dalam bot selalunya ada, cuma pakai tak pakai itu yang menjadi persoalan kita. Jadi kita akan jalankan juga siasatan sebentar lagi bersama dengan saksi dan juga lain-lain agensi.
Dato' Shafian also said that some witnesses from other boats had tried to pull the victims out of the water but failed due to rough seas. Another individual identified as Zul Shamin Daniel Zulazman, 26, is yet to be found as of this evening. A husband and a wife were arrested and their drug trafficking operations busted following the seizure of some 30 kilograms of drugs worth more than 75,000 ringgit in a raid on Thursday. The operation unfolded when police nabbed a male suspect, a 37-year-old man believed to be involved in drug dealing activities in the Klang Valley and Selangor. According to Central Police Chief ACP Beng Eng Lai, the first suspect was detained at a playground in Segambut, Kuala Lumpur, which led to the seizure of 2.54 kilograms of cannabis and 200 ringgit in his car. The man then led the police to an apartment in Bandar Sri Damansara, Petaling Jaya, where a 24-year-old woman was arrested. The police also found 25.71 kilograms of cannabis and 406 grams of heroin in the bedroom of the apartment.
Jumlah keseluruhan dada yang dirampas boleh dibekalkan kepada 61,380 orang pengguna dada jenis cannabis, manakala 813 orang pengguna dada jenis heroin. Kedua-dua suspek terlibat dengan aktiviti pengedaran dada selama 7 bulan.
Further checks found the man had 3 previous criminal records for drugs and criminal offences, while his wife was found positive for drugs. The couple is in remand for 7 days until 29th April for further investigation under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, which provides a death penalty if convicted. Sports segment, Keeper saves the day for Kedah with late strikes to sink Kel City FC. We begin with updates on the local football scene, the Malaysian Super League. Kedah Darul Aman KDA FC staged an incredible comeback as they fought back from a deficit twice to grab a 3-2 victory against Kuala Lumpur City FC at Stadium Darul Aman last night. TJ Kipre became the man of the match after his 2 goals scored in extra time during the second half ensured KDA FC obtained the full 3 points in their home turf. Without their main striker, who was suspended, Aidil Sharin Sahak waggered on Shazwan Zainon to navigate the offensive with Kipre. Early on, KDA FC received a few opportunities to score, but was unable to connect. The same went for KL City FC, but the unyielding defence from both sides caused the first half to conclude goalless. However, just 4 minutes after the break, the hosts were blown away by an opening score by Paulo Jose. KDA FC's Fayad Zulkifli, Fadzrul Daniel and Azamuddin Akil then managed to change the flow of the game by playing more aggressively, eventually leading to an equaliser in the 71st minute. Their joy was short-lived as KL City FC takes the lead again with a goal by Giancarlo Gialfuccio 7 minutes later. Just as KL City FC were convinced victory was in their hands, KDA FC was awarded a penalty shot on the 93rd minute, perfected by Kipre. He once again fired the ball into the net in the 96th minute, and it was too late for KL City FC to find an equaliser with the match result 3-2. Meanwhile, in Johor Bahru, Kelantan FC held Johor Darul Takzim JDT to a 1-1 draw in the Malaysian Premier League at Stadium Tan Sri Dato' Haji Hassan Yunos. The match lasted for 95 minutes before 295 spectators, which displayed fast-paced action throughout the encounter. The first half saw no goals from neither the Southern Tigers nor the Red Warriors, despite each team applying pressure to the other's defences. Enter the second half, host striker Fernando Rodriguez opened up the scoreboard with a goal in the 59th minute. Kelantan FC found an equaliser with a strike by attacker Nur Shamil Abdul Ghani on the 70th minute. Both sides were unable to break the tie all the way up to the final minute, and the match concluded with both teams having scored 1 goal each. In another match, Perak FC and Project FAM MSN ended their encounter in a draw as both sides were unable to score any goals. That concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, Malaysia tells Myanmar to stop the killing and violence against civilians. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. You can also catch us at RTM Click's mobile app or website. I'm Sentiasa. Stay tuned to saluran Berita RTM and good night.